All right, today we are taking a completely different approach for this explainer. We're going to do a really close, almost forensic dive into a digital artifact that is incredibly sparse, yet universally experienced. And let's be totally honest here, it can be incredibly frustrating. We are looking at exactly 30 words. That's the whole shebang. 30 words that somehow construct a literal digital security checkpoint. If you have ever browsed the internet, you've absolutely hit an invisible wall just like this one. So today, we aren't just going to blindly click past it, we're going to dissect it. We're breaking down the exact text of the Vercel security checkpoint to really understand the anatomy of a modern digital roadblock. Okay, let's jump right into the deep end here with the text itself. We're verifying your browser. This is literally the very first action the page presents to you. It's a direct, totally unapologetic statement of active interrogation. Notice how it doesn't ask for your permission. It simply tells you what's happening to you. You're essentially a subject being analyzed. The system is taking a beat to look at your digital identity, your browser, to figure out if you're safe, maybe if you're a bot, or if you're even allowed to proceed. It's actually a fascinating power dynamic, and it's established in just 4 simple words. Now, you might be wondering who exactly is conducting this interrogation. Well, the literal authority is stamped right above it, Vercel Security Checkpoint. This sets the stage for exactly what it means to hit this specific branded barrier during your daily scrolling. You haven't just stumbled onto a generic 404 error page, you have officially arrived at a checkpoint. And the language here is deeply intentional. The word checkpoint immediately implies borders, rules, security, and a governing authority. In this particular case, that authority is Vercel. It completely transforms what could just be a split-second technical delay into an official digital encounter. So, having established that we are, in fact, at a checkpoint, and that we are actively being verified, we have to ask the next logical question. What is this digital gatekeeper actually asking of us? I mean, it's one thing to be stopped at the gate, but how do we actually get past it? Luckily, the source text doesn't just leave us hanging in this weird state of endless verification. It gives us a very specific set of rules. If we break down the exact progression demanded by the text, we can map out the simple but absolute mechanics of the page. Step 1, you encounter the Vercel security checkpoint. Step 2, you must enable JavaScript. Step 3, you may continue. It is a completely binary flow. There's no alternative route, no customer service number to dial, no secret backdoor. The mechanics are super simple, but their enforcement, absolutely rigid. The absolutely crucial point here is this clear ultimatum, enable JavaScript to continue. The entire continuation of your journey hinges exclusively on having this specific browser capability turned on. If your browser doesn't have JavaScript enabled, maybe you turned it off for privacy reasons, or you're running a really strict security setup, this checkpoint becomes a complete dead end. That invisible wall suddenly becomes a solid brick wall. The text just plainly dictates the technical terms of your surrender if you want to see whatever's on the other side. You know what's truly fascinating to me about this? It's how 2 entirely different realities manage to coexist within these few lines of text. Let's contrast the dual user journeys living right next to each other on the same screen. On one side, we have the visitor. Their experience is totally passive. We're verifying your browser. You sit, you wait, you cross your fingers and hope you pass. But then, on the exact same page, we have this message for the admin. Website owner, click here to fix. It's a brilliant illustration of how the internet literally speaks to different classes of users at the exact same time. Passive waiting on one side, active intervention on the other. Let's focus on that admin side of the text for a second. Website owner, click here to fix. Do you feel that sudden dramatic shift in tone? To the visitor, this checkpoint looks like a standard intentional security measure. But to the website owner, the use of the word fix carries a pretty heavy implication. It strongly implies that this checkpoint, this barrier that is actively blocking users, might actually be an unintended error. It suggests that maybe this invisible wall isn't even supposed to be up right now, and it actually needs a human to come and tear it down. So while the visitor is passively waiting and the owner is being prompted to jump in and fix things, something else is quietly happening in the background. We really need to pivot here and ask, what is the digital footprint of this encounter? Because if we're being verified, there has to be a record of that verification somewhere, right? There has to be a receipt. And hidden right there in the sparse text of the page is the final and definitely the most cryptic piece of information. That footprint looks exactly like this wild string of characters, PDX1:77979710-ZWI2BMV XH3V7KZNOLR690JP4MJSVVWH1. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but this is the unique, complex alphanumeric fingerprint of this specific Vercel checkpoint encounter. The checkpoint doesn't just stop you in your tracks, it logs the literal transaction of your verification. Think of this code as the digital equivalent of a stamped passport or a recorded license plate at a toll booth. It is undeniable proof that you were here at this exact gate at this exact moment in time. To really make sense of this for our explainer, we need to treat this string like a microscopic artifact and isolate its different parts. Let's start with just those first 4 characters, the prefix, PDX1. Now, in the architecture of the internet, this is not just random gibberish. It's actually a microscopic clue pointing straight to the server's routing architecture. It likely indicates the specific geographic data center, perhaps somewhere like Portland, where this digital gatekeeper physically lives. It essentially grounds this ethereal invisible internet wall to a literal, physical machine sitting in a room somewhere in the real world. Moving right past those colons, we focus on the central numbers within the identifier, the numeric block 1777971085. In system logs, a sequence like this is rarely ever arbitrary. This is actually the exact timestamped evidence of the verification event. It marks the precise second in digital time that your browser knocked on the door and the checkpoint fired up its scan. It's basically the ticking clock of your passive waiting period, forever frozen right there in the text. Finally, we have to examine the cryptic tail. This completely chaotic mix of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, and numbers is the hyper-specific signature generated while the checkpoint was busy verifying your browser. Think about it. Out of the billions of internet interactions happening at that exact same second globally, this chaotic tail ensures that your specific encounter, your specific roadblock, is mathematically totally unique. It's essentially the cryptographic lock on the digital gate. All right, let's bring all these forensic pieces back together and look at the whole picture. The entire anatomy of this checkpoint is constructed from just these elements. We have the authoritative title, Vercel Security Checkpoint, the passive interrogation, we're verifying your browser, the active backend alert, website owner, click here to fix, the literal, unique footprint of the encounter, starting with that PDX1 block and ending with its cryptographic tail, and finally the absolute ultimatum, enable JavaScript to continue. These 30 words placed exactly like this construct the invisible internet walls we all blindly navigate every single day. Which leaves us with one final, pretty massive thought to chew on. We've seen just how strict this checkpoint is for the everyday visitor. But if a website owner is being told to click here to fix the verification screen, it begs a huge question. Are these barriers purposeful, ironclad security measures, or are they just misconfigured glitches blocking our way? And if it's the latter, who is really in control of the invisible walls of the internet? Something to think about the next time you find yourself staring at a blank screen, just waiting for a server to verify your existence. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your curiosity sharp, and we'll see you next time.